What is going on, everybody? Casey here, Virginia Game Day, checking in with another episode of the podcast. Happy New Year to everyone, and I appreciate y'all stopping in for another episode of the show. Man, after the Louisville game, I was like, I'm not going to do a podcast yet because Louisville isn't a very good team, like 200th and Ken Palm, and we're at home, and we know how we play at home. I'm like, let me have that Louisville bounce back, resilient victory in to the side, and let's see how they play on the road against NC State. A couple days rest, see how they do. No podcast after the NC State game. The way it started, I was like, this is gonna be a good, happy podcast because I love doing happy podcasts. I love podcasting after wins. We got blown out by Notre Dame on the road, bounce back against Louisville. All right, let's show that we can win a tough road game against the ACC opponent. We're playing good to start the game. Up by 6, up by 7, chipping away. And then I think it was like 19-15. And then Louisville hit this freaking 60-foot shot, rainbow prayer. And it basically, from there on, the game went downhill. And as you know, Virginia lost by 16 on the road. The 16-point deficit really made it look closer than it was because I stopped watching when we we down by like 20. We couldn't get it, any closer than 20. It was like 18, 20, 18, 20, 18, 20. Isaac would hit a 3 and then we'd give up a 3. And it's like, all right, I was watching it while I'm putting away our Christmas decorations. And, with like 6 minutes left, I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. It was I wasn't my best self during watching that game yesterday. It was tough because I thought we were gonna win. Started out well. I was like, all right, we got this. We're resilient. But for whatever reason, when this team gets hit in the mouth in someone else's gym, they lack the in-game resilience that a lot of other teams would have. And you know why? They're young. They don't have the guy to shut the crowd up. Say what you want about Kihei, but so many times last year, the year before that, when another team was making a run and everyone else looked like a deer in the headlights, Kihei would make a play. It's Reese is everything to this team, but he did a little bit. He hit that shot at the end of the first half to cut it to 8, which I was like, all right, cool. That was a nice ending to the first half to like make it a respectable ending there. But you can't do it all the time. And it stinks. But listen, we got one really experienced dude and then 2 guys in Dunn and McNeely who have 1 year in the system. So it shows you how they play at home, where role players play better and young players play better when you have the crowd and you're comfortable and all that stuff versus when you go on the road and everyone hates you. It's very, very clear difference the way we could see. And a lot of that is on the experience and youth of this team. I thought if we won, I was going to be like, you see what happens when you have your number 2 and 3 scorers doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because in the Louisville game, it was Isaac had a great game, Dunn had a great game, Beekman had a double-digit game, and then as it turns out, they also had it in this game, but it still wasn't even close, and it's because our defense let down, and we just didn't have that fight back to make it happen. And it was like we're down 20 with like 12 minutes left or whatever, and I'm like, are we gonna have any urgency? Like, I feel like we didn't have a sense of urgency. But then in coach's post game, he said he thought they were going too quick sometimes, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, and speaking of, like, I'm not gonna lie and act like I know what this team is gonna do because since I've been doing this show, UVA has dominated ACC play for the most part. Like for the last 3 years. UVA regular season champs, winning 15 games in conference play, beating everyone, but then when tournament time comes, they still lose and don't perform well. So maybe it's a little reverse here. It could be, right? Maybe we're gonna struggle a little bit in ACC play to start, really get it going towards the end of the season, carry it into the ACC tournament, and then maybe sneak into the NCAA tournament, and then surprise some people as a low seed, as a 9 seed. We don't know. I don't know because we've seen UVA dominate ACC play before and then lose early. But maybe we're getting a little bit of a different flavor here. We'll let this team grow up as the season goes and see how, and maybe surprise some people later on. I was bummed yesterday. At the end of that game, and I was gonna podcast right after the game, and I'm like, let me sit on it for a little bit because I'm upset. And New Year's resolution of mine: not let these UVA losses and Dallas Cowboy losses affect my mood for the day. So I was able to turn the page. I was able to be all right. And then I watched Coach Bennett's post game, and I'm like, I always feel this way when he handles it well. It makes me feel better because I'm like, these guys, it matters more to them. Like, this is their livelihood. This is everything to them. If they handle it well, I should be able to handle it well. And I got a lot of confidence again watching the post game because in Tony we trust, and he's the architect here. And all these people who I mean, I keep seeing it. Tony Bennett's going to step down. Tony Bennett's going to step down. I don't believe that, but don't put it out to the universe either, right? Don't put it out into the universe because he's, you know, the man. He's the godfather of our UVA basketball, and he's still getting talent. Like, I hear that, he's the NIL and the transfer portal. Like, we're getting players. McNeely's a 4-star, Dunn's a 4-star. We're getting players, and sometimes they transfer out, yes, but it's not like we can't. You want to say that about UVA football? Like, we can't get recruits to UVA football? 4 stars? Fine. But UVA basketball, they can get players. Anyway, let's go to some of the numbers from yesterday's game. 76-60 loss. Looking at the play-by-play here, we fought early. Coach Bennett shortened his rotation, which was interesting to see. No Bond for the most part, like first 30 minutes. No Gertrude for the first 30 minutes. It was the starting 5, which consisted of Buchanan, Rhodey, Dunn, McNeely, and Beekman. I really liked how Buchanan played against Louisville, even though his numbers didn't show it. He got so many looks at the rim. He's still figuring it out down there, but he got so many open looks off screens, screen and rolls, and it was great to see. He's got nice soft hands, catches the ball well, but just hasn't been able to finish. But anyway, he started here, and then off the bench, Groves and Murray. So yeah, it was a 7-man rotation, and Virginia started off hot, had the lead for the first 10, 12 minutes of the game. 11-9, 13-9, 15-9, nice 6-point lead there. And after that, I paused it, and I was like, all right, let me get on some Christmas decorations, help my wife out. She's going to kill me, So I paused it, let it sit for half an hour, and then went back to it. And then I'm like, why did I go back to this? Or why did maybe I shouldn't have paused it because I jinxed it. But after that, 17-13, 19-15, and then they get that prayer 3, and then, which I mentioned earlier, and it all went downhill. Then they took the lead, and then Casey Morcell, the ghost of UVA past, came and hit a couple threes, and you know how it went. We went into the half 35-28, down 7. It would have been 9, but like I mentioned, Reese hit that floater right before the half. We missed a bunch of chippies, and it's kind of been the bugaboo of this team on the road. We get down early, we can't come back. And the bad missing shots on offense leads to poor defense on the other end. Like so many late closeouts, missed assignments, uh, choking the post, DJ Burns finding a guy. They just had an answer. You know, I got I got sick and tired of listening to whoever Paul Vincardi calling the game. Like they got to figure out a way to guard Burns. I'm like, let my man rock here, okay? Uh, but yeah, no Bond in the first half, and NC State went on that 20-9 run to after we had a lead to end the half there, and then in the second half, NC State stretched it out to a big lead. I think let's see how big the lead got. The largest lead was 21 points, and then UVA fought back a little bit at the end. Jordan Miner had a nice finishing touch on the game, scored 6 points there in the last 5 minutes to you know make it look respectable and to give him like side note give him some confidence moving forward. This game's all about confidence and comfortability, and that was huge for him. You know, Minor, a couple dunks, a couple free throws, and made the game look a little bit closer. And that, you think I'm joking, but a 20-point loss looks real bad on the resume. 16-point loss still looks bad, but not quite as bad. So UVA 11-4 overall now, 2-2 in conference play, and number 59th in KenPom. That's not exactly tournament area right now, but we still have a lot of chances to right the ship. And it's a long season. We got a nice week break here, and then got Wake Forest on the road, a chance to kind of get a nice road W and get things going. But I know they're going to work their ass off in practice this week and get right for Wake Forest. KenPom right now has us projected to go 19-12 and 10-10 overall in conference play. That kind of puts it right on the bubble there. So hopefully we can outperform that, which I think we will. I think we will. I think we'll get to 20 wins. We're at 11-4 now, 2-2 in conference play, and we're gonna get back to that, spot where we were 8-1. We had just blown out Syracuse, which should have been a 30-point win, and only showed up as a 22-point win because we let them back in right at the end, or let them catch up right at the end. We blew NC Central out, and then we had break. Right, so we're 8-1 going into break. We got wins against Texas A&M, wins against West Virginia, Florida. The only bad loss was at Wisconsin, well, on neutral site, Wisconsin. And then we come back right before Christmas, and we have that Northeastern game where we barely sweat it out, And then we had Memphis, and then we blew out Morgan State, but then we lost to Notre Dame on the road. Then we blew out Louisville at home, and then we lost to NC State. So we got to get back to that spot where we were when we were the 8-1 team, and not the spot where we're at right now, where we're getting discouraged and our youth is showing. But faith in Tony. I'm all right. You should be all right too. It's a long season, and we got a week to prepare, a week to work out the kinks and go from there. Let's go through the numbers quick for the game. Blake Buchanan, 23 minutes, 2 for 3, 4 points total, 5 boards, no assists, no turnovers, 1 steal, -4 and the plus minus. Reese Beekman, 33 minutes, 12 points, 10 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, -13 overall, plus minus. Andrew Rohde. Rohde's numbers, his 3-point shooting is way down, shooting 28%. His 2-point shooting is way down, 38%. And his free throw shooting is only 30%. So he's a improved defender. Coach obviously likes him. Plays a lot of minutes. He makes some good passes. He's got to raise his game. Is it because it's easy for people to say that he's not ready for this level yet? He came from a smaller school. He's struggling. but he's going to be here for a while. He's still young too. Like he's not one of these transfers who's just going to be here for a minute and get out. He only played 1 year before coming to Virginia, and now he's a sophomore, second year at UVA. So Brody, I like watching him play. Just got to start knocking him down, and he will. He will. Coach got good size for a guard. He can handle it. He's getting better facing pressure. Early on, it was like when you put a power 5 guard in his shorts full court, it's tough. And now he's getting better. So yeah, he was a minus 13 overall plus minus. Isaac McNeely, minus 28 plus minus. But man, we just got to, when we're down like double digits, just let Isaac crank him, man. Find a way to get him some open shots. He was 18 points, 4 of 7 from deep, 3 turnovers for Rhodey as well. And then Ryan Dunn, rounding out the starting lineup, finished with 16 points and minus 12 plus minus. See, our 3 top scorers got their points, got their stats, but we were in such a big hole already where it was like, this isn't, it doesn't help my hypothesis, doesn't help my conclusion that when all 3 of these guys perform, the team is going to be all right. It's because they all performed and really no one else did. There was no, ancillary pieces filling in the cracks. But yeah, they combined for 46 points. Yeah, 46 points, the 3 of them. Off the bench, Groves didn't do much. 1 of 6, 2 points, minus 12 plus minus. Tane Murray, I mean, that's like the most Tane Murray plus minus ever. Because Tane Murray, high floor, low ceiling, 0 plus minus, doesn't make mistakes. Played 17 minutes when he was out there. They weren't up, they weren't down. No points, 0 for 2 shooting. Now he missed a chippy. I remember in the first half that I was like, oh man. Ryan Dunn missed some bunnies. And then Bond, Gertrude, and Miner played some kind of late minutes there. Bond, when he came in the second half, what did he do? He was late on a closeout. He got an and 1 called against him. He missed a jumper. And it was curious to see that Bond didn't play. It wasn't in the rotation there. And he's a young guy too. Thrives at home. So you gotta trust Bennett there. And then Gertrude, 0 of 2, no points. Jordan Miner, 6 points. Good for him. So sometimes this happens. I remember being at NC State, let me think, maybe it's 2 years ago, and UVA got absolutely hammered on the road at NC State. Let's see if it was the one. Yeah, it was this one. So they went to NC State, and it was the Jaden and Armand's first year, and we got throttled by 14. And it was looking back now, that UVA team was ranked 87th in KenPom at that point. So not as bad now as it was then. That team, of course, played in the NIT, but we're hoping to set our sights a little higher than that. Last year, we didn't play at NC State. We beat them at home. I remember watching that game at home. That was a good win. Burns was coming off like a bunch of 30-point games or something like that, and we just shut him down. Yeah, Burns last year had like all these huge games in a row, and then he came into Virginia and got shut down 31, 15, 24, and then came to Virginia and scored 8, and we beat them at home, and that felt good. And I guess NC State returned the favor this year. So, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of I'm recording this on Sunday. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your new year. Happy New Year. Don't let this get you down. We're going to be okay. And, we're win or lose, go Who's, and we'll be all right. So thank you guys. Go Who's at Virginia Game Day on Instagram. Congrats to my man who won the holiday giveaway package. Let me look up my man right now. That was my boy Jacques, big dog, won the prize package. And shout out to my other main man, who wrote my favorite book ever, uh, Robert Friedel, who wrote the um, Intangible UVA basketball book, for throwing in a copy of that to the winner. So you gotta love the UVA community, man. And if you haven't read that book, do it. I'm gonna start reading it again because it's like basically it's a UVA basketball book and also a self-help motivational book. Promise. So go Who's, take it easy. Thank you guys for listening.